Okay, I already knew that Mickey was a scumbag. I knew based on Lucky Cyan and Queen's episodes that, yes, this guy was a dirtbag. He's a manipulative dirtbag. And yes, a lot of the scenes with Zen and Mickey working behind the scenes, especially around Lucky, I knew that he was somebody that was scheming. But I didn't think that Zen was going to be a dirtbag too. I just figured that Zen was trying to look out for the betterment of Lucky, and yes, was essentially trying to seemingly take down either the commission or a lot of the corrupt heroes. He knew that something was going on, and there was a lot of cover-up. But I didn't think that Zen was going to be a bad guy. And sure enough, in this episode, I'm at this point, anybody that's not a hero that is leading heroes, I'm just going to assume they're all dirtbags. Maybe Shang. Shang might end up being the good guy in the end. It seems like he's messing around with the fear stuff too in this episode, but maybe he'll be the good guy. Based on him losing his son, maybe he'll end up being the guy that kind of overturns the table and really shows people that, okay, they could be good too. But anyways, yes, episode 18 of Tu Bian Yingxiong X, decent episode. I admit this is probably like one of the least best episodes of this series so far, and I've been pretty significantly positive with every single episode. This episode had same scene syndrome. It had a massive problem with same scene syndrome. Yes, mostly all the new stuff was really around, again, Mickey and Zen and the fear stuff and Shang, but most of the scenes of Little Johnny was Ghostblade scenes. I know it was doing the whole inner dialogue and showing what he was thinking at the time, which some of the car stuff was cool. But, like, do we have to do the whole scene where they're trying to call out Ghostblade for being a stalker? I already had the impression from Ghostblade's episode that he was trying to talk him up, and he failed. I didn't need the whole thing, but anyways, overall, it's a solid episode. So let's go through it. There's a lot to dive into, again, especially around Mickey and all that kind of stuff. But yes, opening up where we left off with the whole battle between Big Johnny and Vortex. Very interesting to see that Vortex wasn't just bringing things into a vortex. It implied that his power was to bring things into vortex. It seemed like he was able to just manipulate things in general. So he's doing the vortex on Big Johnny, and then he just like pretty much slams him down. And then he's taking up rocks and turning the rocks into like daggers to shoot at him and stuff. And it seemed like at the very end there, didn't really do much to Big Johnny, let's be honest. Big Johnny like swats him down and everything, and he's like, fine then. You know, you asked for it basically, and he does this ability he was going to call Disappear. And I'm assuming that was a case of possibly just completely crushing Big Johnny into nothingness. I mean, he already tried to crush him with the boulders, doing like a coffin kind of thing, failed miserably. But then like ultimately, I guess he was trying to make him be crushed into oblivion. But again, fails. It doesn't seem like even his power was affecting it, which, yes, it seems like he was like doing this whole thing at Big Johnny and it wasn't affecting Johnny. Before then, all he was doing is throwing things at Big Johnny. So this gives me an impression that probably similar to the medal that Loli found, I'm assuming that Big Johnny's probably of that same, not really the material itself, but being that he's alien, he doesn't fall under the rules of this world. So the trust value system, the hero's powers themselves probably don't affect him at all. Yes, he can throw objects at Big Johnny, and it phases Big Johnny, but to manipulate Big Johnny himself, they can't do it. And I think that's what's going to turn out to be. So it's probably going to be that it's not just Loli that has, like, the ability to overcome heroes and fear because of the armor that she has. It might turn out that Big Johnny's the same situation. Which does remind me of the fact that I don't think we ever actually got into this episode showing the power that Little Johnny ends up having. They never implied what he had. Again, I have my speculation, which we'll get into in a minute, but yeah, he beats the crap out of Vortex. all the villagers are like, holy crap, this thing just like totally destroyed X. Get the hell out of here. And yes, he ends up going after the kid before Little Johnny steps in and says, no, stop. And yes, repeats the same words that his father said. That was essentially something created from his mother. Was super sweet. The idea of, I know you're mad, that's a good thing, let it out. But just remember that afterwards, smile because it brings hope. It looked seriously like Big Johnny was actually going to attack him. That's the kind of terrifying thing. Like, when he's in that state, he's uncontrollable. And I would assume that over time, he has learned how to train Big Johnny into being controlled. But I would assume that it's all based on the rage that he's going through. If he's got a lot of sorrow and anger and whatnot, like the loss of the father, yes, he's going to go absolutely ape. And he's not going to be controllable. He was like very close to attacking Lil Johnny. But yeah, we cut over to Ghostblade. He was contacting somebody. They said, don't do anything unnecessary. And that's when we cut forward to the news reports that, yes, X got his butt handed to him. And this big creature was actually stopped by little Johnny, and all the news is going crazy. People are coming after him, trying to ask him questions. And now here's where we get to what I was kind of predicting in the previous episode. So they're asking him a bunch of questions. How do you control animals? Have you always been able to control animals? Like a lot of people are questioning, man, this guy's really powerful if he took down something that X couldn't do. And so there's a lot of expectations being placed upon him. His trust value is skyrocketing at this point. And yes, they discovered that, or they're questioning, is he in fact the son of Sheng, the hero Sheng? So this is where I get to my predictions on what his power is going to be. Again, heroes themselves, their trust value as it increases, or as they get trust value, what people want out of the hero reflects in their power. So with everybody assuming that he is the son of Sheng, that could turn into an aspect that they all want him to be a healer too. And that was sort of what my prediction was going to be, that he was going to do something incredible, and then people are going to go, well, he's a healer too, right? Because his father was. So my assumption is that it's going to be a thing where, yes, Big Johnny's on the front line, he's super powerful, he's fighting things, and little Johnny's in the back line, and he's healing him. So it's like an ultimate team. It's a tank healer team that's going on here. More like a berserker healer type of team system here, which honestly would be like really insane. My other prediction could be the idea that a lot of people are, again, questioning if he can talk to animals, and thus it could turn into a thing where he could just speak to animals. But up until this point, he's shown nothing. He's literally, and that's to that point, he's up to this point has not shown any signs of what power he actually manifests. All I can go based off of is what everybody is thinking about as they're putting their trust value in him. He's incredible. I bet he could develop cool abilities. Is he the son of Shang? And have you always been talking to animals? Those three could possibly be it. I'm leaning more towards probably healer again. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, as they're calling out for answers, he says, yes, I want answers too. That's why I have to go see him. And thus, yes, he goes over to talk to Vortex. Goes in there and questions him, my father's death, were you involved? And the guy says, nope, I'm X. I don't need to, stain my hands for the sake of a second rate. And he says, but you needed him. Without him, you could not have defeated rank 2, Phobia Clone, which I don't think we've met Phobia Clone at this point, but that's a very interesting name. I mean, it's literally like, it's phobia, which is like a fear, and then a clone, which is creating a second of yourself or multiples of yourself. So is it a fear of having multiples of self? Is it to cause fear in having multiples? Then again, it goes back to the idea of what was necessary to have Sheng at his side for him to be able to defeat Phobia Clone. And at the same time, does that mean that the tournament itself can allow 2 people on the field? Or was he healing from a distance without anybody knowing? I don't know. But yeah, the guy gets mad. Looks like he was about to attack little Johnny, but doesn't. And then little Johnny leaves saying, I signed up for FOMO. And yes, next time I'll be asking these questions at the tournament. So he's pretty much dead set on that fact that he's going to fight Vortex. Now it is interesting that as he's walking away, Vortex gets upset at the idea that he joined FOMO, seemingly showing signs that he didn't want Johnny to join. Again, he was asking Sheng about that. But he was saying it to Shang in sort of a threatening way. When he was talking to Shang, it was basically saying, you should join for the sake of your son, implying the idea that if you don't join, something's going to happen to little Johnny. Now, it seemed like a threat, but that could have been an aspect that people are going to come after your son instead if you don't take that spot. I don't know. I don't think so. Which, yes, unfortunately, we never really get an answer to. So we don't actually get an answer to, because we jump forward 17 years. Johnny has been in the organization for a while. He's become lazy. His secretary's getting upset that he's being lazy. He's not doing anything. But yes, little Johnny has lost his kind of desire to do anything because it looks like they've sort of just turned him into a circus animal. This FOMO system and the program they developed for him is to match his strengths. And it seems like it's just him and Big Johnny being a big circus act. That they go out there and smile and do appearances and whatnot. Yes, to what a lot of these heroes have sort of been shown by, that a lot of it's just advertisements and figures and all that kind of crap, and they don't really do much. And that seems to be kind of bugging Johnny. But it's not just that. We end up finding out that, and I don't even remember this, honestly. So I may have missed it, maybe it covered it up, or I don't know. The plane that Lucky Cyan was on, apparently Vortex was on it. Yeah, at least in the first episode of Lucky Cyan's story, they didn't even mention Vortex. So maybe they mention it later on. And again, it could be one of those things where they were covering up his death elsewhere, and they just tied it in with that. So that he died on that plane just to cover up an assassination on him. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I don't remember it actually being on the news report, which is what apparently little Johnny's seen. And yes, this was his whole driving force after he presumed that Vortex killed his father. So now he's upset. His whole driving force is gone. His living for the last 17 years, or at least up until the point where that crash happened, it was all for the sake of taking down Vortex at the tournament. Now he needs some sort of new hope. And he's super bored and not really doing anything like hero-wise. Which, yes, the guy gives him a new task that he's supposed to go with Ghostblade to go to this whole escort. And he gets excited. Yeah, I get to go do something cool. All right, cool. I'm on board now. But yeah, that's when it starts mostly all the kind of repeated scenes of him traveling with Ghostblade. And yes, it's cute to get his perspective on the idea that now he's like, trying to connect with Ghostblade. And it sucks because we know that Ghostblade killed his father, but it's turning this whole thing where whenever he looks at Ghostblade, he sees his father, like going on the trip to go to his new house. He sees his dad. He gets all emotional. And again, the entire time he thinks that Ghostblade's doing cool things for him to be nice. Which, yes, I sort of got the impression of when they were traveling. He wanted to connect to him. And yes, the entire time he probably looked up to him as sort of a father figure. But it was dorky. It was still dorky, and I liked it. But yes, the whole later part was just kind of like shrug. It's just him trying to make Ghostblade into a cool dude. But unfortunately, Ghostblade keeps nodding at the wrong time and admitting things. It's a really bad idea to say that. Yes, don't say that. But yes, while all this stuff happens, we do get a lot of the backstory stuff happening around Professor Liu and what Mickey's doing. That back here, yes, Professor Liu presented that to them at the same time when the commission people got a phone call from Mickey, giving them a little bit of additional information. And the idea that, yes, this Sheng guy, the father of little Johnny, went through this spacecraft before, and he didn't report what he actually found. And he may have brought something back with him. And if one of the two things, if there's some information or if he brought something back with him, the only person that would know is little Johnny. So it's implying here that Mickey knows that little Johnny possibly, maybe this little alien that showed up out of nowhere and beat the crap out of Vortex, is possibly from that spaceship. So he's kind of tipping the hand a little bit in that direction and presumably wanting them to look into what Mickey's doing. Now, the oddity here is, Zen says, you're exposing that to Commission at this time. Aren't you afraid that Rock will be suspicious? He responds, little Johnny is FOMO. If Rock has a bone to pick, he can take it up with Zack. That kind of makes me assume that there's a possibility here that Rock has something to do with the spacecraft or something. Because Rock is MG. He was formerly FOMO, but why are they bringing up Rock specifically? Unless they just know that Rock, being who he is, a manipulator just like they are, that tipping the hand a little bit there and exposing that little Johnny has this alien thing, that Rock's going to want to get involved. But again, because he's part of FOMO, Zack's going to get in his way. I guess that's what they're kind of implying there. He's trying to cause the two of them, both MG with Rock and FOMO with Zack, trying to get them to fight each other over whatever little Johnny's currently using. But yes, that's when they reveal that the person that was behind the scenes working with this whole fear development and, yes, Shindig, was in fact Mickey. The person on the phone talking to the guy at the facility where Shindig was Mickey. That Mickey has been looking into ways to amplify the fear ability, which does sort of make me believe that I don't think that Mickey was involved with what happened at Lucky Cyan's orphanage, because again, I think that's where they initially discovered it. And then once they discovered it, it went to Lou's lab, and at that point, this whole Shindig thing happened, they broke open it, and at that point, Mickey would have grabbed some of that stuff, and again, now he's working to develop it. More so than that, though, is the reveal that Zen is even facilitating this as well. That he has been doing a lot of investigative work and is looking into how to, by researching with the lab members, how to amplify it. So again, I was like, it sucks. I kind of wanted Zen to be a good person. He's been a good guy so far. He was helping out Lucky Cyan. He was protecting Lucky Cyan from the Dean, his brother. And here, nope, even worse. Even worse. I guess it's in the family. Because again, they confirmed this episode that Mickey and Zen are related. So both the Dean, Yule, Zen, and Mickey, apparently they're all brothers. So it just kind of runs in the family, right? It just kind of runs in the family. That's odd, though, because Mickey doesn't look like Zen. Now, Queen could be calling Mickey uncle just because they're so close, but they're all scumbags. In the end, they're all scumbags. But But yeah, this kind of bugged me because, yeah, Mickey is doing this whole thing with the fear and trying to amplify it. I would assume that Zen is along with this because, again, as we established from the introduction of Zen, he obviously sees that there's conflicts happening between the heroes, and that's what led to what happened with the airplane. There was some sort of dispute with the heroes, and that's why nobody was there to stop the plane. Now, with this extra information about Vortex being on the plane, supposedly, that makes me think that, yeah, he's seen that there was probably a cover-up that happened there. He was trying to expose it, and he got in trouble for it. Now it seems like he's kind of working with Mickey in order to kind of overthrow either the commission or the heroes that are corrupted, something like that. He's basically in the same route as something like Enlighter, in that kind of realm of people that are just realizing that the heroes are just all corrupt. They're not technically villains, they're anti-heroes in a good way. But yeah, not only is Mickey currently looking to investigate how to amplify this fear value and mess with it, but it does seem like he's also trying to sort of create competition. And the idea that he has actually tipped some other people off on this whole fear thing. And that's when we cut over to, yes, Shang. Shang, in the facility that his son had, he's currently looking at his own lab experiments. Which brought the massive question mark for me is, who's inside the chamber that Shang is looking at? I think it's Isol. The only person I can think of that has lost like limbs and everything that looks pretty dang beefy is Isol. I think after Yang took down Isol, I'm guessing that Shang got a hold of his body and is currently trying to develop it. I don't know. We've never actually seen Isol without his helmet on, and yes, he technically was missing an arm. I don't remember if he was missing a leg too, question mark? I know he was missing an arm. Yeah, I'm convinced it's going to be Isol. I'm convinced. I'm convinced at this point. So, interesting that he managed to get a hold of him, and I don't know about that. I kind of was really bummed out that Yang killed Isol. If this could be a way that it could bring back Isol in a good way, that'd be cool, but I doubt it. He's probably just going to be a zombie, crazy zombie fear thing that he's going to be using. But yes, that's when Queen shows up. Queen shows up, and we throw Zen into a little bit of a conundrum. And the fact that she's there, and he's like, oh, how's your recovery doing? It's doing great. Ready to go back to the tournament. He's like, oh, well, it's going to be a vacation. I'm going to have you go out here in the middle of nowhere, and there's this little alien crash site out there, and I want you to go hang out there. But I need permission from your dad first. Which, again, sucks because it looks like Zen okayed it because that's where she went. Now, I kind of wonder if Zen will, at this point, say yes, but I want her to take Lucky Cyan. And I think he would probably, right here, feel that he can't not send Queen, but that's being pressured by Mickey, not wanting to look like he's going to betray Mickey because he may fear Mickey. But he chooses, okay, but you also have to take Lucky Cyan because he feels that Lucky Cyan will at least protect her. You know, the two of them together will be insane, which I'm no doubt at this point. With Lucky Cyan's luck ability, giving it to Queen and her control ability. I think I said this before, but I really want a situation where Lucky is essentially working as a buffer, buffing somebody else so they can do something really incredible. I thought they were going to do that with Lou, and the idea that she was going to give him luck and that was going to amplify his chaos ability, his calamity ability, but they never did it. But yeah, they're dirtbags. In the end, they're all dirtbags. We'll have to wait and see. I'm assuming next episode is going to be finally seeing these stories kind of all come together, because we're at that point where Lucky, Cyan, and Queen would have seen, Big Johnny rising up. But yes, the lead up to that wasn't what I was expecting, but it's fine. And the idea that it seems like Little Johnny and Big Johnny, once, all that stuff was happening and Ghostblade went off to take down Shindig, it seems like, Big Johnny ran off. Little Johnny went after him, and it seems like the effect of the thing that Shindig was giving out, that emotion enhancing, essentially forced the two of them to relive that whole experience. They've seen the vision of the cabin out there, father's out there cutting the wood, but then suddenly he sees all the gashes in the trees, and he runs over there again, and suddenly his dad's there dead, and then Big Johnny goes crazy. So it looks like it's pretty much them reliving that same day and having to deal with that again, which is interesting because it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting them to find out that Ghostblade did it, but it might actually end up pushing the same reveal, because now Ghostblade's going to go, it's happening again, and then reveal that that's what happened. Either way, though, I'm excited to see, finally, this all come together. Like, we've been kind of jumping back over and over again, so I'm hoping that we can finally see Lucky Cyan and Queen, and again, Ghostblade, Loli, everybody go up against Big Johnny, suppress him, and see what happens from here. But anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 18 of To Be Hero X. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content, you want to support channel more, become a member of the channel. Until next time, I'll take care.